Hey, what's up, guys? We're bringing you a behind-the-scenes video of our opinions about the new Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. So, let's get into this, guys.
I don't know. I just wanted to talk about the trailer for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, Michael, give me your impressions from the trailer. What did you think?
My
As someone who watched it once and then lived their life.
So all I got from it was Link comes out and you see Epona. You see Epona running.
Link came out a long time ago.
Oh yeah, well did Joy, son. He came out of that giant bath thing at the beginning of Breathing Wildly. But so you see Link, you see the princess is and she's alive and she's walking around.
Bruh, homeboy, you are talking so loud.
Whatever, dude. Just so, like, I'm just making sure that the thing can hear us.
Bro, your mom literally came out here
What?
to tell us to quiet down.
Whatever. Moms, am I right? She doesn't even know Ben Carson. But,
Michael, not all black people know each other. Michael, there is no way you would ever vote for Ben Carson.
No, someone handed me that.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah, he handed me that. He's just like, hey, out of all people, He's like, hey, out of all people...
Have you heard of this Michael Jordan guy? He's great.
He's like, I really think you'd appreciate this, man.
Oh, I can't breathe. That's amazing.
Hey, for those who don't know, I pulled out the book One Vote
But
by whatever his
by
name
America's favorite black man, Ben Carson.
Benjamin
Michael was
Carson.
racially profiled at school today.
Oh, God. No, it wasn't today. That's just been there for the longest time.
Well, you graduated like a month ago.
Whatever. Anyway, Zelda comes out.
That was so funny. Yeah, so...
Oh.
I
just want to talk about the trailer.
I mean, if we're framing this as behind the scenes, we might as well make it sound like the way we actually talk behind the scenes, which is that we try to like stay on topic, but we just can't.
Yeah, that's 5,000% true.
I don't think we've ever had a conversation that goes from A to B.
Yes, we have, actually.
Really?
And we're gonna continue this conversation and not get to, like, explain what we think about the trailer, because I'm just gonna continue this on. But we have had a full conversation before, and it was about, accents, and how, like, we slowly morphed into country accents. Living in small town western rural Pennsylvania. Oh, and then you talked about
that conversation about how I like suppressed my accent for a really long time. Yeah, we did. I remember that.
And that was actually an actual conversation.
And then I tried to like demonstrate to you the fact that I do have a country accent, but I'm physically incapable of doing it around you.
Yeah. But Zelda.
Right.
She comes out. And Link and Zelda do a thing. And there's like, Ganon comes back, but like as a ghost, but like a big old spooky wind ghost.
It's definitely not Ganon, it's Ganondorf.
Well, yeah.
Michael, what's the difference?
One's a pig and one's a guy.
It is absolutely... No, you have no idea why that's funny, because that is the same answer Katrina gave me. Almost word for word. She said something. She was like, I know Zelda. I was like, who's the villain? She goes, give me a second. And then she goes, Ganon. And I go, what is Ganon? And she goes... And I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Oh, it was so fun. But just the fact that you're like, one's a pig, one's a guy, and I'm like, thank you, Katrina.
Yeah.
No, but it's definitely Ganondorf. There's a big theory that's been going on for a while, which is like, you remember the tapestry that shows like the ancient legend or
Yeah.
whatever, like 10,000 years ago or whatever. There's a weird thing where the hero has red hair. He has like long red hair.
The hero.
Yeah, in that picture he has red hair. And people for a long time were like, "Oh, so he's probably a Gerudo," which is kind of cool, like because he's always been a Hylian. But there was one post that talked about he was like, "No, I don't think it is a Gerudo. I think that they're gonna keep with the idea that he's always a Hylian, but it's gonna be a different form." Where I can't think of the name of the tribe or whatever, but it's the people who lived here. They're the ones who made the it's like the battle armor or whatever. It's in this game, and it had like the armor has red hair on it. Like, so it's clearly supposed to be, and it's the idea that those were like Link's ancestors or whatever. It's kind of like it's an interesting theory. That's probably more likely what's gonna happen than having it be Gerudo, just because Gerudo has always meant Ganon, and Hylian has always meant Link and Zelda. Give me like 2 seconds. Hello.
All right, this is being cut out. You can tell because I'm talking now.
Okay.
And end the cut.
Right.
All right, we're back.
Oh, so I bet you're actually gonna cut it because you said it.
Well, definitely. Did you hear what I was saying?
Oh my god! Oh, did you hear what I was saying?
Yeah. Oh, actually, no, because it's gone
Oh.
forever.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna be able to see it unless they, I don't know, hack into my computer. Here's my IP address. That's all it takes just to hack into your thing. A simple IP.
Alright, I'm gonna sit here right now and I'm gonna guess what you just put up instead of an actual IP address.
Cool. All right.
I
could always just like change it because you're gonna say it right now.
Tell me if I'm right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna say you were gonna put up like the poster for 10 Cloverfield Lane.
The poster? Close.
Ow. The best part is the question mark at the end.
Ow.
Ow. Okay, no, but
So-
back to the trailer. Just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that,
Zelda.
He's a...
He's a guy?
Oh, there's a really funny, like, not like a meme, but just like a joke that's been going around because there's like that big hand or whatever. People are like, dude, why are they even trying to hide it? Obviously we know what's going on. And it's like pictures from other Zelda games where just randomly you'll walk into like a room and it'll be a toilet and there's a hand that's coming out of it in the game in like Majora's Mask or whatever, and they're like, bro, don't act like you haven't seen this character before.
Yeah, but like watching the thing.
That's Gerudo writing. We can tell that. Someone has already figured out the first letters are like G-A or whatever.
Now, what do you think that rat means?
Rat?
Yeah, that little rat thing.
I think that, do you want me to come up with a really vague conspiracy theory?
Sure. Let's make an entire lore around the rat.
Okay, I think that the rat is a metaphor for the fact, because normally you would call like a thief like a rat. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Ocarina of Time, the Gerudo people are just like a entire clan, tribe, race of thieves.
Yeah.
And Ganondorf is called the King of Thieves because he's the king of the Gerudo. Because the Gerudo only have one male every 100 years or whatever.
Okay.
So that male is always guaranteed to be king, except for in Breath of the Wild because it's progressive, I guess, and they just have a chief, and both chiefs are... Why?
Jesus freaking Christ.
But both chiefs that are in this game are women. But anyway, so... But Ganondorf was the king of thieves, and so I think that that rat is just supposed to further symbolize the fact that it's definitely Ganondorf who's doing this. And it definitely, isn't just supposed to be the fact that they're underground.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you take into account that you said it has to correlate with the chief factors, right? Of Ganondorf, right?
No,
Right.
okay.
Okay, so
Just talk.
yeah, okay, all right. Okay. So you use the word chief there, right? And when you're in power, the guy wears the crown, right? I don't know if has Ganondorf ever worn a crown? Anything on his head?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being a crown goes on your head. Chief, you take out one letter in chief, you get chef, right? What other rat has been a chef?
Were you literally just trying to think of this the entire time that I was...
Literally, yes.
Hey, Michael,
So my prediction is that Remy has crossed into a different universe,
when are we getting a high quality version of that Ratatouille game so we can play it?
I hope very soon.
We need to do that.
But what happened was Remy either got transported into an alternate reality or an alternate dimension, universe, whatever you call it, and he's living in like the Legend of Zelda time, or they're in the same universe.
You were fighting so hard to make that rat Remy that you literally just latched onto the word chief and didn't hear a single other thing I was talking about.
Right.
And I just, I love the fact that I can go back in time through your brain and figure out your thought process.
No, wait. Originally, I was gonna work through it through Crown. Mm-hmm. But then
Michael,
you said,
I hope you realize that is still what you did.
mm-hmm. Yeah, no. But then you said chief, and I'm like, ooh, chef. Remy's a chef. He's also a rat too.
Are you?
End cut, because that's actually something we shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
No, but
What were we saying?
oh, the fact that like the rat definitely has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that it's underground.
Oh,
But
yeah.
It's very easy to read into anything if you have a deep enough understanding of the lore where you can make anything true if you want it to be.
Yeah, I thought I could do that with my ex-wife, but
Calm down, Bo Burnham. Trying to make a traditional stand-up comedy.
what do you?
What is this? Internet comment etiquette. The world's best divorce attorney, and it's just a shovel. Best divorce attorney you'll ever buy with $15. I freaking love it. And he does his merch as Alex Jones. It's hilarious.
So the trailer.
Right, we were watching it.
Yeah. Here, let's put it back up. You want to learn a master class?
What?
What? All right, go back to the video. All right, there's Remy. All right, so this is the Zelda and Link part
Right.
that I was talking about in the beginning, and then you see like spookiness. spookiness. All right, now a lot's
So
happening.
it's very clear.
Now what's going on
that,
right there?
Someone pointed this out, and it's the fact that Zelda falls, Link grabs her, but then Link falls and that hand grabs him, which that hand grabbing him is why Ganon went free, is because it saved Link and let go of its grip of Ganondorf. And there's a big thing about the fact that Ganondorf is an incarnation of Demise, which is like a chaos spirit thing. He's just the one that like there's a couple different incarnations of Demise, but Ganondorf is the one that stuck around for the longest because he just refuses to die. Ganondorf has only canonically died and come back to life once. Every other time it is the same character every single time. So the idea is that with this Ganondorf, depending on how he like speaks, how he just everything, the lore that he presents, we'll be able to figure out where exactly in the timeline Breath of the Wild falls. My favorite understanding of the timeline is the fact that it's called The Legend of Zelda because these are like stories and legends that have been passed down for ever and ever and ever. And the idea is that by the time of Breath of the Wild, because it's so many millennia after the last thing that even happened, like it was 10,000 years since the last time Ganon was even seen. So the idea is that there's a good chance that all of the Legend of Zelda has happened in that order, and it, like, just through random chance it has occurred in that way, where you can't track the timeline because there's such like a vast time difference between it that there's really no point in doing so. So by the time of Breath of the Wild, all that stuff has happened, just not in the way that we understand it. They're all legends. There's another version that talks about the fact that because they're all like oral traditions and oral histories and stuff, that's why the map is different in pretty much every game, is because like when you're telling a story, you can make the geography whatever you want it to be. So for all we know, Wind Waker took place on a lake, and they just called it the Great Sea or whatever. Like, it's stuff like that where there's really no reason why we should try to make all these branching timelines, when in reality you could excuse almost anything from the games that doesn't line up with the other ones as just being like, oh, the person telling this story changed this one thing. Because there's I think there's just two different versions, but two distinctly different versions of just the story of Dionysus, the one god from Greek mythology. So the idea that you can have two different stories for the origin of the same character in an actual real world religion, but not have like two games take place in the same world with two different maps. Like, it honestly adds another level to the idea that these are like real stories that are passed down for real by these different traditions and different people, because they're getting stuff wrong. They're not all exactly the same. They're not all exactly correct. But they all have the same themes and the same whatever. A couple of them could even be the same story, just being told in different places. And the only version of this that is guaranteed to be real is Breath of the Wild, the one that takes place in the modern era.
Like a little foot gesture you did.
Sorry, I have monkey feet, so I can point. But yeah, so Breath of the Wild is like us now, where we know that some of this stuff is wrong, but we understand why that person told the story in that way. So we can like comprehend the fact that say the only story that has any credibility is Link to the Past, because that's the only one where the map is exactly the same as Breath of the Wild's map. So we know that a lot of these locations really existed. But say with Ocarina of Time, like, yeah, that's an amazing story, but I don't know if it actually happened because the person who's telling it isn't a reliable narrator. They said Death Mountain are right next to Kokiri Forest and Zora's Domain. In this game, Death Mountain is right next to Zora's Domain and the Korok Forest, so that was a bad example. But, no, but just the fact that in real world legends, things get mixed up. So in a game that's all about, like, these characters of legend, it almost makes it feel more real by having it have a lot of inaccuracies. And that's why I think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be more focused on... Breath of the Wild sets up, like, the world and the characters and the fact that it feels like a real, like, an apocalypse happened. Like, this feels more real than any of the other Zeldas. So Breath of the Wild 2 is going to feel like we're going to finally get that explanation for what really happened in all these games.
This has been Alex and Michael talk, but Alex talks mostly. The show.
I'm a massive Breath of the Wild nerd, or a massive Zelda nerd, because I love Zelda for the same reason that I always loved studying Greek mythology, which is the fact that all of the stories feel like reading Greek myths almost, where it's some big epic quest, but they all end up telling the same story. And there's an idea that some of them could be different versions of telling the same story and stuff like that. I find it interesting. While we're here, Michael, would you like to point out the fact that I'm at 49%, but I've beaten the game and I've basically 100%ed it?
That's frightening.
Yeah. I have like 600.
I wonder what ours is
to find.
on our playthrough. It's probably like point something.
Yeah, you can't find out until you beat Ganon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, let's just beat Ganon. Just right off the bat. Let's just break the entire... Oh. Alright.
Okay. This is Alex and Michael. BTS, but not the Korean pop band.